Hey, good morning, CFC. Good to be with you for our Tuesday morning devotion. Pastor John Stone here, and we're working our way through Romans, and we have finished Romans 11 yesterday, which was really a wonderful time, and we're going to begin in Romans 12 and the first two verses. Pretty famous verses if you have been around the church at all, and powerful verses, but keep in mind that yesterday, as we looked at the passage, it said God had bound everyone over to disobedience so that he may have mercy on them all. Then chapter 12 begins this way: Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So Paul is going to, in chapter 12, talk to us about what it means to offer our bodies as living sacrifices. Here he's imploring us to take up this call. And you could read on along in verses 3 all the way through the end of 21. And really, in chapters 12, 13 and 14, he's talking about what it means to live the spiritual life, what it means to offer our bodies as living sacrifices, what is our true worship. But I just want us to notice a couple things today as we think about this passage and what Romans has said. Paul has laid out a glorious and really large view of the gospel, that those who have the faith of Abraham, this is Romans 3 and 4, those who believe like Abraham believed, are justified by that faith. They're made right with God. Their sins are taken away, and the righteousness which Christ had is given to believers so that we have a full and proper standing before God our Father. We are loved and accepted. And he argues throughout the book of Romans that it's God's grace and God's mercy. Mercy not giving us what we deserve, grace giving us stuff we don't deserve, right? Giving us glory and status and place. These two things are the foundation of the gospel. And now he says, I urge you, having embraced mercy, to offer your bodies fully to God. Now notice, when he says here bodies, he's going to later say, in the next verse, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So he just doesn't mean our physical bodies, although certainly he means that. But it means our whole being. Offer our whole being, our body, our mind, our soul. Offer this to God. And his argument is that it's the only appropriate place to offer yourself. That God himself offered his only son. He gave up the most valuable, the most important thing that he had for us and to us. And the rightful response to that is, I've now received mercy. God did not treat me the way I deserve to be treated. God has given me grace and mercy. Therefore, I'm going to offer my body as a living sacrifice. I'm not going to die like the old sacrifices, but I'm going to give myself completely, wholly, and totally to God because of his mercy. Now, what's interesting about this is the way he defines it. He says, this is your true and proper worship. So in this case, he's not thinking about the gathered people of God or the gathered saints, the called out ones, the ecclesia. That's the word for church in the New Testament in Greek. He's not thinking about that worship we do on Sunday or Saturday night or when we gather as people of God. He's saying that our true and proper worship is giving ourselves completely to God in everything we do. In our work, in our family, in our play, in our recreation, in our rest. That we are to give everything to God, and that is actually our proper worship. So someone could come to church every Sunday, sing vigorously, pray fully, and yet live a different way the rest of the week, and they wouldn't actually have worship. Real worship is giving ourselves, including on the day we worship together, completely and fully to God, mind, body, and soul, and having our mind renewed. Having our body and our mind made new, thinking not the way the world thinks about greed or about pride or about status or about money, but thinking the way God thinks about that. Having our mind renewed so that we will be conformed into his image and that we'll live a life. This is interesting. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. We will live a life that's pleasing to God. I look forward to more fully talking about this on Sunday. It's great to be with you this Tuesday morning or whenever you may be listening. We will see you soon. Have a great week.